That is weird. 11551. If you don't drink, you're not going to spend money on alcohol. But what's up, everyone? I am interesting, and I retired in 2021 to travel and eat full time. In today's video, we will be covering how much it costs to live in Mexico City. This is my third cost of living video for Mexico City, as we spent 2 months there last year. Today's video is going to cover our most recent month there from March of 2022. I'll be sharing our costs for 2 people for the month across a range of different categories. Stay tuned till the end of the video to see our total spend for the month and how close we came to our budget. If you enjoy this video at any point, please like or comment. And if you want to see more videos like this, or you want to see where we head to next, consider subscribing. For the first category, accommodation, the big one, got to keep that roof over your head. We budgeted $1,250 for the month for rent and accommodation. We spent $1,410.53. This was close to the most rent we have ever spent in Mexico in the last 7 months. Our previous average was $1,216. And again, these averages are based on the previous 6 months. And if you want to see any of those previous 6 videos, you can check out those links in description below. And the reason why our rent was a bit higher this month was there just wasn't a lot of availability on Airbnb in March of 2022. I think there's just a ton of demand of people wanting to go, and there wasn't a ton of inventory. We lucked out and found this new Sonder building, and we were able to get close to half off what it was on Sonder. This was likely the nicest, if not top 2 nicest places we've ever stayed, and we both really enjoyed staying at the Sonder in Roma Sur, very close to Condesa and Parque Mexico. If you've seen any of these videos before from me, you know my favorite category, you know what's coming next: food and beverages. So for the month of March, or our time in Mexico City, because it was actually mid-Feb to mid-March, we budgeted $1,000 for all our food and beverages, and we came in at $662.10. This was one of our lowest food months ever. I still need to wrap my head around how this was so low, because no, my mom did not come and subsidize anything. Our previous average across the 6 months before this month were $774 per month for food. And we will further break down food into several other categories, including groceries, restaurants, bars, and alcohol. And then we will further break down restaurants later in the video. First subcategory rather is groceries. We don't have any forecasts or budgets for any of these subcategories, just the main ones. And we came in at $122.55 on groceries. This was actually one of the higher months for groceries, with our average being $109 per month. And our highest previous to this month had been $141. So pretty close to that highest month ever, and about 10-ish% over the average. For my favorite subcategory and my favorite category, it's restaurants. For restaurants, we spent $447.32. This was well below the average of $587. And this was the lowest we ever spent in any given month in Mexico. Our cheapest meal was 87 cents. We'll talk more about that later. And our most expensive meal was $44.35. Before we get going with the subcategories or the breakdowns within restaurants and eating out, I wanted to talk about bars. So for bars, and first of all, what bars are, yes, you know what a bar is, but it's basically anytime we, yes, went to a bar, but anytime we went out drinking without ordering any food. So for bars, we spent $92.23, and this was pretty close to the average, which was $78. Perfect segue from talking about bars to alcohol, and alcohol for budgeting is anytime we purchased an alcoholic beverage, whether that was from the grocery store, whether that was at a bar, or whether we got a drink with a meal. And we spent $160.34 on alcohol, and this was the lowest month ever for alcohol. Healthy new 2022, I guess. And our previous average for alcohol was $262. Now we can come back to the food world of restaurants. So within restaurants, we're gonna break things down to 4 categories or subcategories: coffee and snacks, breakfast or brunch, lunch, or dinner. So starting off with coffee and snacks, or coffee and pastries, And this is a category that was created because it felt weird calling it breakfast when you just, go out for a shot of espresso and a croissant or something. So we spent $73.18 on 11 coffee trips or coffee and snacks. Our cheapest coffee and snack trip was the 87 cents I mentioned before. That was for churros at El Moro. Super inexpensive, super bomb. Our most expensive kind of coffee pastry outing was $11.71. This was at a cafe right on Parque Mexico, a really cool vibe and view where we got conchas, cornbread, coffee, a lot of different stuff. Our average that I didn't mention was previously $20, and the reason that's so low is because this is a newish category. I used to combine all this stuff within breakfast and brunch, but as you've seen in the last few videos, I have broken this out, and that's why the average is a little funky. After coffee and snacks or coffee breaks or coffee trips or whatever, we have breakfast or brunch. Jury's still out on the difference there. We spent $87.99 on 6 breakfasts or brunches. That is pretty well below the average, which is or was $130. Our cheapest or most inexpensive breakfast outing were these massive tacos canasta, like basket tacos. They were $1.75 for 4 tacos. Tacos a misnomer because each one was like super long. It was 2 tortillas each, not like a street taco, but hopefully I'm showing this and that's clear. Highly recommend Los Especiales in Centro. And our most expensive or bougie brunch was at Nido, $29.06. The fluffy pancakes, all the cool vibes. You gotta check out Nido if you have time and you're into that kind of brunch scene. Getting later in the meal day, we'll talk about lunch. So we went out to lunch 8 different times. We spent $138.64, and that was pretty close to, but below the average, which was $153. Our cheapest or most inexpensive lunch were street tacos at my favorite place. Drop it in the comments if you recognize or know. And the most expensive lunch was $44.35 at Kura, that sushi bento lunch special that I'm just not gonna get over. By the time this airs, you might be able to see that video of our first trip there. I'll link it up if you're curious. Highly recommend going there. Last food subcategory, so dinner. So this is where we actually saved a ton of money. We went out to dinner 13 times and we spent $147.51. This was well below the previous average, which was $278. So this was almost half of the average, super low. And I can only imagine the reason why is the theme you're gonna see. So our cheapest dinner out were late night tacos at Taqueria Orinoco, $4.43. So pretty much all the cheapest foods per meal besides the churros were tacos, which is not a bad thing in my opinion. And our most expensive dinner were pizza and cocktails at Pizza Felix, which is my favorite pizza place. Yunji prefers Dr. Pizza. You cannot go wrong with either one. But that is where we saved like over $100. And I guess we were just eating cheaper places because I was like cognizant of either trying to eat more street food or more tacos and like less kind of fancy meals. But looking back at this last Mexico City trip, I'd say it was just as good, if not better than the other 2 stints. So I don't think spending less money on dinner or food, we were missing out on anything by any means. However, if you want to go to Pujol or you want to see my Pujol video, I'll plug it up there for you to check out. This is that sad time in the cost of living video where we stop talking about food. If you want to rewind and watch all that food again, I wouldn't blame you because that's where I would be. But now we'll talk about miscellaneous and activities. So this is kind of all the things that don't fit into like food or restaurants. So maybe running to the store and getting a 6-pack at the OXXO or getting water or like tortillas or like one-offs, and then activities or, day trips or activities. So we typically budget $50 per month for this category. We spent $14.73. So clearly we were not doing many activities, if any, this month. We did go to some museums, they were all free. The reason why this was the lowest month we've ever had, and sorry, the previous average for this category is $44, and we came in at 14, so about a third of the average. The reason being, I think, besides like the free activities, this accommodation, this Sonder had filtered water. I didn't have to schlep to buy any Garrafones or 20-liter waters at any point, which is fantastic, but that saved. So our miscellaneous budget legitimately probably was like me running downstairs to pick up some beer. Most of my days I spent at like my morning exercise. I walk to the grocery store and buy 6 packs of Carta Blanca because they're like $2. That's probably TMI, but this was just a very, very, very low miscellaneous and activity month. And finally, last category until we get to the final reveal, transportation. So this is a category we budget $200 for. We, in my accounting, factor in the flights because obviously they're not free. For these videos, I don't add it to the total, but I will share what those flights were to give you a better idea. We spent $28.15, and that was mostly for the Uber from and to the airport and maybe a few Ubers in the city. Otherwise, I think we took the metro one time and it was 25 cents each, something like that, 5 pesos each, and just really didn't spend much. We walk a ton. We did need to fly into Mexico. We didn't walk there or ride a bike. So our flights to and from Mexico per person, so round trip LAX to, well, we flew LAX into Mexico City and then Guadalajara home. But anyways, those flights to and from Mexico were $228.27 each. So about $4.50 for both of us. Our previous average for transport, again, not including flights, was $56. So this was, half the average. We just didn't do that much. There was no long distance buses or anything. In the video where we cover the 6 months, I'll have all the flights and everything. But for this, the transport, $28.15, but our flights were $228 each round trip. Let's get into the reveal. For our total spend, we budget, and if you've seen any of my videos, our budget hasn't changed. We budget or forecast $2,500 for the month. And for this 4-week stay in Mexico City from mid-Feb to mid-March of 2022, drum roll please. If you are drum rolling at home, you're awesome. Please let me know in the comments because thank you for that. We spent $2,115.51. That is weird, 11551. There's a 2 in there, so I'm confusing you. This was very, very close to our now 6-month average, which was $2,090. I keep doing that, man, that's $2,090. Again, these don't include flights. Our previous highest month was our first ever stint in Mexico in 2021. And that was $2,414. And our cheapest trip or month in Mexico so far, and including this video, this is our 7th month in Mexico, was $1,634 in Puebla. My other favorite part of these videos, like the places to save. So the number one thing anyone can do wherever you are is reduce your rent, because that's most people's highest expense. So we were Airbnb-ing. Mexico, especially Mexico City Airbnbs, continue to increase in price. So finding a long-term lease or finding the cheapest Airbnb you can find is going to greatly drive your price down. I'm sure you can find something under $1,000. Second thing is slow travel is cheaper. So if you live somewhere, you do a 12-month lease, obviously that, but the less frequently you fly to a new destination or do anything, you're gonna save money. That's why we do monthly stays. You also get the big discount on Airbnb, so slow travel is going to be cheaper. We eat out more than the typical person. I know some of you are seeing my spend and it was like $647 or something like insane, but we don't need to eat out every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We could eat in more. And that's something you could really tweak that category and definitely save a few $100s from what I stated. The other thing, well, for starters, if you don't drink, you're not gonna spend money on alcohol, but if you wanna just cut back, you can definitely cut down on alcohol. I think we spent something like 150-ish, sorry, I'm forgetting, but that's just another place we could further drive down costs. And then lastly, just walking, renting a bike, using public transport, doing anything instead of just Ubering will save more money. Because again, we're under budget, we don't need to do any of those things. But if you're watching this and you're like, I want to spend $1,000 a month, or you want to drive any of this stuff down, those are other places you can save. Again, just a reminder that all these costs were for 2. Contrary to popular opinion, if you're one person, you don't just get to cut these in half, because if you stayed in the same apartment as I did, you'd still need to pay for that. So you really only save food and drink and on transportation and maybe miscellaneous. But I hope all of this information is helpful to you. If you have any questions, if you think I'm spending way too much, if you think there's no way I can spend this little, always happy to get into it in the comments. But Thanks so much for watching. Let me know if you have any feedback on what information's missing. If there's any questions, let me know. I respond to all comments as of May 2022. Thanks for hanging out here. More of these to come. By the time this video airs, we'll probably be in Europe, so I will start doing some cost of living things or cost of vacation on our Balkans and Central European trip. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you with another video this Saturday. Until next time.